first let's do some Kolek talk because it's all anybody wants to talk about these days with the Knicks. I blame you, of course, for feeding into that frenzy. You are nothing if not a maven for clickbait. That's why
Frenzy
you got
Peter.
Yeah, that's exactly it. No, I mean, like, look, let's put aside or maybe we shouldn't put aside. I was going to say, let's put aside the conversation about like he hasn't been able to hit shots yet. Because I feel like that's maybe it's tilted the scales too far in the wrong direction after the Clipper game. My question for you is like, based on what you've seen, and I know you have watched him a lot, you've watched him as much as anyone. Let's say, for argument's sake, that campaign is going to miss some real time here. Like, let's say he misses the next, I don't know, he misses the next 5 games. What the fuck? I'm sorry. You don't have Bulls Lakers on, do you?
No, they were just up 5 with like 10 seconds left. They lost?
They lost by 2 in regulation. I was looking at you. I was looking at you.
Wait,
and
what?
I just turned to my screen. All I saw was Pat Williams made a 3 with like 10 seconds left to make it 115 or to bring them within 2. And now I'm looking, I see Josh Giddey is high-fiving people. Well, we're going to talk about the Bulls later. I don't know what happened, but we're going to talk about the Bulls in a little bit. So I'm so happy we're doing this. And
we're also talking about the Lakers, though, aren't we? Because
we are going to talk about the Lakers. Well, no, we're not. Oh, Josh Giddey hit a half-court 3 to win it.
Stop it!
It's literally from half court. I'm watching it. He hit a half-court 3 to win the game.
Sick. God, this league rocks.
Oh my God. Wow. He hit it from half court to win the game.
Oh my God. And this after LeBron tipped it in for a win at the buzzer last night.
Yeah, but I want to know even how they got to that point. Okay, we've got off the rails.
Oh yeah, now I get to watch it on.
I have to go back and see the play-by-play because I want to know how they even got to that point. But again, I digress. Right. Let's say campaign misses a handful of games, and campaign does not turn into Josh Giddey overnight. He remains, Tyler Kolek does not turn into Josh Giddey overnight. Just give me a spitball for me. What do you think is going to happen over the next 5 or so games, which is a somewhat tough schedule
in terms of his playing time or in terms of his performance? No,
in terms of his performance. I would assume that if Payne misses 5 or so games, if Deuce is out, campaign's playing 30 plus minutes a night. If Deuce is in, campaign's probably playing, or excuse me, Tyler Kolek. Yeah. Tyler Kolek's playing.
I wouldn't jump to that conclusion. First of all,
what?
That he's going to play 30 minutes a game.
If campaign is injured, and Deuce McBride is also injured, you do not think Kolek is playing 30 minutes a game?
Not necessarily. I think it depends on how he does.
Okay, so then let's talk about it. How do you think he's going to do?
Oh, man, that's a hard question. I think he will continue to pass the ball really well. I think a lot of it's going to come down to whether he can start making some shots. And that's not something I can predict. I think he's a good shooter, so I think he will make some shots, but I don't know in the next 5 games if he will. Especially from 3, he's got to make some. And then defensively, what I've been impressed with is his one-on-one defense. I think he's contained really well. I think his help defense is good too. For the first time, and it's funny because I predicted this on Sunday night when we talked on our pod. I knew the Clippers would be a test. Now, I didn't know he was going to start the second half so that he became the subject of James Harden's focus defensively. And that forces him into a help and recover scheme. And I haven't seen him have to do that yet. And it wasn't that he was terrible at it. It was just an obvious weak point to pick at. And the Clippers picked at it and were successful in doing so. So we'll see if he's the starting. Now, I do think he'll start. And if he does, and teams can begin games kind of trying to exploit him defensively, that's going to be hard. And I think a great test for him, but I think hard. And I think teams will have success doing it. But I believe in him offensively, man. I'll go out and say I think he'll have some really good offensive games. Like I do believe in the offensive player, even though I think he's going to have to score at a requisite level to really allow the passing to pop. And that's going to be that was the question when he got drafted to me, is like, what can he do, especially inside? I believe in the 3-pointer. So the question is, what can he do inside the arc to allow the drive and kick game to really flourish? That's the question.
So then maybe this is a simple question. How much does his individual offensive game, his individual ability to score, whether it is behind the 3-point line or inside the arc, impact his ability to elevate an offense? And implicit in that question is my assumption that he is elevating the offense to a certain degree, like all things being equal. But so we could talk about that part of it too, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to score to elevate an offense. You can't in this league. I don't care how good a passer you are. It's really hard to make your offense better if you are not able to score. I go back to guys like the Ricky Rubios of the world. I go back to Kendall Marshall's another guy I've talked about in compare. Like, you have to. It's too easy to exploit if you can't score, and offense is so good that if you don't have a guy that can put it in the rim, it's almost automatically going to lower your offensive ceiling, despite, again, all the good things that he does. So I think it really does depend. Like, his career, to me, almost depends on his ability to score, because I think the passing is legitimately fantastic, as we've talked about.
So then we'll finish with this. Let's assume he scores. He can score, whether it's in the next game or the next 5 games or next season. But at some point, the scoring comes.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen so far, how much can he elevate an offense?
A lot. If he's a decent volume 38% 3-point shooter, let's say, and that includes pull-up threes, and he is able to generate enough looks at floater range, probably is more realistic than anything at the rim, like floater range and occasional like tough lefty finishes. I think he can be a really excellent. I don't see starting point guard, but it's not impossible. But I think the likely, if the scoring comes, I hate to use this comp because he's a white point guard, but like a point guard who can come in and totally elevate a team is like a TJ. Now, he's a very different player than TJ McConnell. Yeah. But a point guard who can come in and totally change a tenor of a game and elevate your offense, even though he's the backup. That's the kind of player I think he'd be, like a real change of pace, excellent backup point guard.
In terms of impact, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got what I wouldn't do to sign up for a Knicks version of TJ McConnell, even if it's not the same sort of player. They're not
at all the same kind of player. But I'm thinking of a point guard who comes in, changes the pace of the game, and elevates your team, even though he's coming off the bench. Like, what's a better example than TJ McConnell? Like, he is that guy, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think of another one in the league. There aren't anymore. Like, I think there used to be, every team kind of had a backup point guard, as it were, that like came in and ran the offense. That is not really the case any longer.
It was Brunson once upon a time.
It was Brunson. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would be a nice outcome for Mr. Kolek, for sure.
Because a lot of teams now have 2 guards that start, and then they quote unquote run the second unit, right? So it's like a Desmond Bane, for example. It comes off although they have Scottie Pippen Jr., not quite the same kind of player, a little bit more of like so it's not a very common role in the NBA anymore, because Kolek will always be a point guard. He is a more traditional point guard. But I think he can be that. I think he's that special a passer if the scoring can get to a certain requisite level. He can be a pretty special lift off the bench.